Charlie, what's
Okay.
up?
Charlie. Ade. Charlie, good evening to everybody. We had a bit of a technical hitch, but we are back. We are back. We are back. Let me borrow the
We are
accent of the
back.
South Africans. We are back.
We are back to
We are
live.
back. Yes, we are back. We are
we
back.
are,
We are
we are,
back. Charlie, I hope you are doing well. I hope you are doing well.
yeah, I'm good. I'm good. How about you?
Yes. Charlie, I'm also doing well. I'm also doing really, really great. And we are in the day four of the World Cup, and so far so good. Despite the fact that the World Cup has seen its own fair share of issues with regards to visa issuing, people being stopped from entering the Americas and even Canada and all that. I think that the World Cup has really shown some great sight to behold for me on a personal level. I think that right from the opening, stages to where we are at the moment, I think that it has been so far so good and so beautiful. I don't know what you have to tell us. When you monitored from the first opening stages to now, what do you say and what can you tell us, Derek?
Yeah, I think yeah, well, just before I start, once again, apologies to our viewers and our listeners.
Yeah.
Technology sometimes throws certain things at you and you just have to work on it before you
Mm.
can go live. So we got into a little trouble, but we are back.
Yeah. we're we're able to succumb that. Of course, we are
Exactly.
back.
But in terms of the World Cup, I think it's been a very good start. There was a lot of talk around off-field issues, but once the ball got kicked for the very first match, most of the concentration has been on the field,
Mm.
even though we'll be talking about some of the things that have been happening off field that is starting to gain attention to. But to start off with, I want to talk about the opening ceremony.
Yeah.
Because we have three countries hosting it, we had three different opening ceremonies. If I'm to
Yes.
rank it, I will give the best opening ceremony to the one that happened on the very first day in Mexico.
Mexico. Yeah.
Mexico. You could see the culture being displayed. You could see
Mm.
the colors. You could see the hype. You could see the excitement, the
Sure.
enthusiasm about football and everything. And that
Mm.
stadium also holds a lot of football history. So it was
Yeah. The
really
Azteca
a
Stadium.
beautiful sight to
85,000.
behold, and the
Yeah.
atmosphere was very electric.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a very huge stadium, and there was party
Yeah.
in and out of the stadium, and it was
Sure.
wonderful. I was going to give the second best opening ceremony to Canada because they
Mm.
had very nice performances in terms of the songs that were they sang during the opening ceremony. But one thing happened. I don't know if a lot of viewers were able to catch it. The
Yeah.
the World Cup trophy that was in the center of the pitch is supposed to be inflated.
Sure.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
it couldn't come. Yeah, the
Yeah.
mechanism failed, and then instead of
Mm.
it being inflated, it was not able to fill up with air, so they had to
Mm.
bring it down. But that was a
Yeah.
very smart move. But obviously, that's a hitch that they were
Mm.
not expecting. So
Mm.
I'll put the United States opening ceremony in second just because of that, and just because there were a whole lot of issues surrounding how US is going to host this
Yeah.
World Cup. And then when it finally happened, we saw that the stadium was full, people were happy, everybody was
Yeah.
excited about the World Cup coming to the US. So all in all, but again, if I compare it to Qatar, all three opening ceremonies, I don't think will match up to what we saw in Qatar. I don't think they will
Mm.
even match up to what we saw in South
Charlie,
Africa because we saw a
Charlie. With
huge
Qatar,
cultural
we
display
saw the
and
aesthetics,
everything. So far,
everything.
that has been
Yeah.
my best. Yeah, you could see that Qatar put in a lot of effort when they were hosting it because, again, just like in the US, there was a huge uproar about human rights. There was a huge
Yeah.
talk off the field. that was kind of being a distraction to even their preparation. So they wanted to prove the world wrong, that they were capable of hosting the rest of the world, regardless
Mm.
of how they are governing their own country. So in the end,
Yeah.
I think it has been a very nice World Cup so far. In terms of a few things that we've changed, you see that let's come to the field issues, the noticeable
Mm.
changes that have come with this new World Cup. First off, you can see that when it comes to the offside, it is currently being adjudged very quickly because they are using a new
Yeah.
technology for offside rule.
Sure.
So unlike in the past or even just last season where the player will be allowed to play and probably even score before
Yeah.
it being called as an offside, or maybe the linesman will flag it and then later they will check with VAR whether there was an offside or not by drawing the lines
Mm.
and all that.
Yeah.
This time it's not happening like that. Once the play goes, just in a matter of seconds, they are able to determine whether the player was
Mm.
offside or not, and then they can flag it. It
Exactly.
takes away a lot of anxiety. It takes away a
Mm.
lot of uncertainty from it, and
And
then
even
it makes the
delays.
and delays, and it makes the play
Yeah.
very smooth. So that is one big plus for it. If you look at again in terms of technology, corners are also being adjudged very correctly because
Sure.
you know that corners can lead to goal. So if there
Mm.
is a corner that has been given to a team that did not deserve to have that corner kick, then that means
Yeah.
that team that would have considered a goal would have been treated unfairly. So this time,
Yeah.
FIFA is making sure that for corner kicks, they are going to use technology to determine who kicked the ball out of
Mm.
play last. And so
Yeah.
if the referee gets it wrong on the field of play, very quickly
At
they're
least the
able to
VAR can determine or can come
the
in. The
VAR will
VAR can come in.
prompt him,
Yeah.
yeah, very quickly, so that you don't have someone who did not deserve to get a corner getting a corner, and then
Mm.
you use that to score a goal. That would be unfair. So that is also a very good thing. And
Mm.
then when you watch the USA versus the Paraguay match, you realize that this guy who used to play for Newcastle, he dived, and then the
Mm.
referee initially didn't see the dive, so
Yeah.
he gave the foul, and
Hmm.
then Paraguay actually played a foul and went on, but he was pulled back that no, this was actually a dive, and the player who dived should actually get the yellow card. So that is also
Okay.
something that has been introduced to just to make sure that the game is really, really fair, and
Sure.
that
And even
will
flowing as
give a
well.
lot of and flowing. Yeah. But one negative
Mm.
thing that people are complaining about is the hydration break or the water break. So what it
Yeah.
means is that it's essentially the game is now being played in four quarters instead of two halves.
Two
And
halves.
people are
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
complaining, yeah, people are complaining that that
Mm.
can kind of distract the momentum of some
Mm.
teams. A typical
Yeah.
example is even though Germany scored Curacao by 7 goals to 1,
Yeah.
just before the water break, it was 1-1, which means it
Yeah.
was game on. And you could see
So
that Karakal were
it's slow the
actually
tempo of the Curacao people. Is that what he's
exactly
saying?
exactly
Do
no,
you know
so you
something?
see that
Bafo Makodi was telling me that look, we're on the same platform, and he said that look, the break one way or the other is a way for people to also make money because we that we are watching on set, whenever there's a water break, people takes that break, and you see on set there'll be some adverts rolling and all that. So it's a nice way of people also getting some money from that quarter break as you're talking about. And we need to also understand that the weather is quite hot over there in United States of America, and you yourself you are there, so you can attest to the fact that it is really warm or hot. I mean, over there in the United States of America, so it's understandably so.
yes, I agree with you. The argument to that is that some of the stadiums are actually temperature controlled. So even though
Mm,
outside might be hot, inside the stadium, the temperatures are conducive for playing. What it means is that
exactly, exactly.
then in those stadiums, we do not need a water break. But again, just as you
Okay.
said, because FIFA is making money from the adverts, even though the
Exactly.
temperature within the stadium is still
It's quite
okay
okay.
and conducive, they will still introduce the water break because any 60-second advert is going to rake in
Yeah.
millions of dollars
I
for
think
FIFA.
yesterday
So
in Pennsylvania, the stadium was quite covered. So I was expecting, and even the commentator said that the air condition was in full flow, and they are really enjoying their condition in there. So rightly, as he said, some of the stadia can be controlled. That the temperatures there can be controlled. So no need for that water break. But hey, this is FIFA, and he has come up with his own ideas of also making money one way or the other. So I mean, it's their tournament, isn't it? It's their tournament.
I
We have
mean,
nothing else to
we
do with
we
it.
know
Yeah.
FIFA loves money. They like to
Mm,
try and get as
mm,
much
mm.
as possible
Yeah.
from the World Cup because
Okay.
it comes once in every 4 years. So what it means
Sure.
is that when that 4 years comes and then there's a
Mm.
tournament, they have to cash in as
Yeah.
much as possible. And that
Exactly.
is
They need
exactly
to
what
make
is
hay
happening.
while the sun shine. So they are making hay while the sun shines. So, Derek, we need to tell the listeners or the viewers that, look, going forward, there is a goodies in store for them coming from Katleries. Yes. Cutleries indicates something sumptuous cooking. You know, Cutlery is an eatery that serves delicious with unbeatable price like shawarma, pizza, French fries, seafoods, assorted fried rice, jambalaya, jollof, grilled quarter, together with chicken, garlic, butter prawns, kamalaya, together with and that is spaghetti and pan grilled, grouper fish. And we also have grilled pork and chips, spring rolls, and all sort of breakfast. So just come around for your, layout and also your birthday, your live football games as well, and you are sorted out. So pick up and also dine in and delivery services are very much available at Katleries. Locate Katleries at Anaji St. Francis Street off the Choice Mart Road. And you can kindly call us on 054 35804 or 055 201 8441. The numbers again 054 or 055 201 8441. So going forward, when you're talking about cutlery, we always think about the good food that deserves cutlery. So if you are an audience watching us, if you are somebody who is watching us today, know that if you predict and you win, you can go in for your shawarma, you can go in for your kamalaya or your spaghetti, pan grilled grouper fish at that is Cutleries. So it is just that for you. So God willing, on Wednesday, we will be starting off with that of the Black Stars. If you're able to predict correctly, then you get yourself a shawarma, a free shawarma from Cutlery. So we know how to do it. On Wednesday, you will just be accepting your that is your predict and win. If you're able to predict and you get it right, then I think that is what voila for you. You get to eat your shawarma or free of charge from Cutleries. Now, Derek, let's move straight to um, our important items that we need to discuss. Let us discuss a
Yeah.
bit about the African countries. African teams that are making inroads in the that is the World Cup. At least we had two African countries that really disappointed us. So for me, that's what I'll put it. South Africa. I know the match was very difficult. It was the opening game that repeated itself in 2010 in South Africa when South Africa hosted. This time around it was Mexico. They hosted it and they hosted South Africa, but South Africa failed to live up to expectation. They lost 2-0 to Mexico in Mexico City. That was the first African team that lost the game in this year's World Cup. Now, Tunisia, in fact, my hope was on them. At least one year, they're going to get a draw in there, but they really, really disappointed us. Tunisia really disappointed Africa by losing 5-1 to Sweden. They lost 5-0 to 1 to Sweden. Sweden, which is managed by a coach who once upon a time coached Brighton, who once upon a time coached that is Chelsea Football Club. He was sacked
Chelsea.
anyway, and he's now with Sweden. I don't want to mention his name because he bought me. They bought me, but that coach they bought me. But he he's now managing Sweden, and he managed to beat Tunisia by 5 goals to one. But then let's look at some of the African teams that have also made us proud. Morocco, they did us proud by drawing with Brazil. That game, I knew that it's
Yeah,
going to be a very difficult game, a tough game for the Brazilians, because looking at the Moroccans, they have a very good team in there. We saw that in the AFCON. They
yeah,
went all the way to the final with Senegal, and we saw the exploits. They have brilliant, brilliant players in there, the likes of Diaz and also the Hakimis and all that, just to mention a few. They give Brazilians the tough test of their life. At the end of the day, I don't know whether you watch Carlo Ancelotti's presser. He really apologized to the Brazilian fans that, look, he was very much sorry for the fact that they didn't really play the kind of game that they were expecting them to play. So probably maybe in the next game they'll
yeah,
do better. But it was as a result of the Moroccans. Then Cote d'Ivoire, before Cote d'Ivoire, I think yes, Cote d'Ivoire did us proud yesterday as well by beating Ecuador, and they ended the 19-game unbeaten run of that is Ecuador. Ecuador had gone on a 19-game spree where they've not lost a game. But just yesterday, the Ivorians gave it to them water. Yes, they defeated them by a goal to
mm,
zero, and it was a very beautiful game.
yeah,
And finally, Cape Verde Islands today, they held their own against that is if I should say the world
Spain,
champions in Spain, where no, Spain are not the world champion. Argentina are the world champion, I must say.
European
But yes,
European
once upon a time,
champions.
yeah, European champions, yes. So they held their own against Spain. And goalkeeper Vozina, in fact, it was my man of the match, and I'm sure that he was most people the man of the match. And for me, I think that he
Yeah,
deserves some plaudits. So these are the three African countries that have made us proud. We are waiting for the Black Stars come Wednesday, and also Senegal as well to continue the good works that the likes of Morocco and Ivory Coast have made. What about you? Is that a good sign
yeah.
for the African game?
It's a good sign. Let me just say that Egypt also just drew with Belgium just before
Exactly.
we came
Yes.
live.
1-1.
So
Yes. Sure.
1-1, yeah, versus Belgium. So tomorrow is Senegal, and then on Wednesday is Ghana.
Okay. The
We
Black Stars. Yeah.
play Panama. But all in all, I think is a very good showing for Africa. I already
Mm,
said in our earlier episode that we can
yeah.
actually take advantage of this World Cup because
Okay.
everything is set for us to be able to do well. If you look at it,
Yeah.
the Europeans so far, you can see that they are not doing well, right?
Yeah.
You look at the Europeans so far, it is only Germany. Germany was expected to beat a
Yes.
first
Yeah.
timer in the
Curacao.
World Cup.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so there's nothing new about that. And then
Mm,
Scotland, even against Haiti, they struggled to get that 1-0 win. But
okay.
if you look at the other European teams, and then of course Tunisia couldn't hold their own versus Sweden.
Exactly. Yeah.
Obviously, their firepower in terms of Gyökeres
Mm.
from Arsenal and then Isaac
Mm.
from Liverpool
Isa. Yeah.
proved
Yeah.
too much for them. And I think that even though a lot of teams have not tip Sweden to do well, I think they are going to do
Mm.
well just because of that two strikers that they are playing up front
Mhm.
because they work very
Yeah.
hard and they are both very good finishers. And so if they get
Yes. And they are even
on their
finding their
game,
rhythm
they
as
can
well. Yeah.
exactly, yeah. People thought that it was going to be one or the other, but Graham
Mm.
Potter has been able to find a solution in
I
playing the
said, don't
two of
mention his
them.
name.
And so
Why did you
I
mention his name? Don't mention his name.
I
You're mentioning his name.
I got because I don't support Chelsea. and
I know, right? I know. So you're free to mention his name. Like, hey. All
and
right. So go on.
yes,
Mm.
and the fact that he's been able to find a way for the two of them to complement each
Mm.
other. So when one is
Yeah.
very far advanced, the other one is behind helping the midfield.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
then you always know that Jokeris is going to give you that. that pressure in terms of
Mm,
chasing down every loose ball, every dead
mm.
balls, and one of
Yeah, that
those
off the
pressing
ball
is
closing
what
up and all that. Yeah,
yeah, one of those pressing, and this one was even Isaac was the one that
yeah.
led to the third goal, right? But back to the African teams, I think South Africa were very naive in the way they played
Mm.
against
Sure, I
Mexico.
agree. I agree
Of
with you.
course, of course, they were playing the host nation, and so
Mm.
there was a bit of nerves. It was the first game of the tournament. There was
Yeah.
pressure on them, and then all that. You are basically playing against the whole nation at that point in
Mm.
time. But I think they made very schoolboy mistakes that
Mistake.
was
Yeah.
unpardonable at this stage in the World Cup,
Mm.
which got punished. And because Mexico themselves initially were very wasteful because of the pressure,
Yeah.
you saw that
Yeah.
they were
Yeah.
they were in a hurry to score the first goal and then ease the pressure down, and they were really wasting some of the game. So that was when South Africa could have
This
countered.
building from the back, is it by force? This building from the back, or is it by force?
That's the issue. That's the issue.
And
And
and Hugo,
again,
I was surprised
link,
that Hugo Blues. I mean, you are playing against the host nation, all gun blazing, trying to attack you because they just needed their first goal to unsettle you.
yeah,
And you were
yes,
still asking the boys to play the ball from the back and all that. I
eh,
was wondering why South Africans cannot go direct because they have pacey players. They have players who have the
yeah,
pace and all that. They can
they
catch
have,
you on the counter and all that. And I was like, Hugo Blues, what is happening? What is happening?
yeah. And
Basic mistakes.
can the same thing can be said of Tunisia because at one point it was
Yeah.
2-1 and they were going into the game and then they decide to play out from the back and then they give out a
Mm,
very cheap goal. And then it kills all the momentum and then Sweden goes ahead to give them two more
mm,
additional goals, ending in a draft. This morning they
yeah.
sacked their coach. But again, World Cup is very strategic, right?
Mm,
And you don't have to there's nothing to prove, and especially with this World Cup, which is 48 teams, which means that even if you are third, there's a likelihood that you can
yes, of
qualify.
course.
You have
Yeah.
to pick and choose which matches you want to go all
Mm,
out and which matches
yeah.
that you want to be strategic and then play on the counter. We saw
Sure.
Japan versus the Netherlands, and you
Mm,
saw that on the bench, their coach was always showing the teams a board with a tactics number of how they
yeah.
should play at what point in time in the transitions, whether they should go
Mm,
forward, whether they should stay back. And at the end, it
mm,
proved that it was successful. When they needed to go forward, they went forward. When they needed to sit back, they were able to sit back. And in the end, they got their 1 point, which means that they can now go and focus on the next games. The thing is that the you don't want to kill your own momentum by losing the first game. So at least a draw
exactly.
is okay, right? So what it means is that first 15 to 30 minutes, you don't want to throw anything away cheaply. Just study the
Yeah.
game. Just study which
Mm.
players from the opposition are going to pose a threat. Who are the danger men?
And
Are
stay in the game.
your tactics or the and stay in the game? Are your tactics or strategies that you initially used or you planned before the game? Is it working? Do you have to change something
Mm,
very quickly? Those are the things that you need to watch out for in the very
mm.
first 15 to 30 minutes, right? And then
Yeah.
once you are in the game, you can now begin to influence the game and then change the game by looking at some of the weaknesses in in the opposing team and then taking advantage of that. And I'm hoping that Black Stars will be able and Senegal will be able to take lessons from this and then use it to their
Mm.
advantage when they are
Okay.
playing
Okay.
their games.
Mm.
But other than
So
that,
so
I
so so
think
so
Morocco
so
did us very yeah. Let me just
so
finish on
all
Morocco.
in
I
all.
think they did us very
Okay.
yeah.
Yes.
They did us very
Conclude on that.
proud.
Conclude on that. Yeah.
You have a- any team that is playing against Brazil is going to have it not easy. It's going to be a tough match.
Mm.
And if you look at
Mm.
Morocco of last 4 years when they were in the semi-finals, they were actually a counter-attacking team. But they have
Mm.
evolved as a team, and now they are actually the team that's always on the front foot because they are
They want
very
to control
good on the
opponents.
ball.
Yeah.
They are able to control, and
Mm.
they were able
Mm.
to do that against Brazil,
Brazil.
right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But
Yeah.
but for the brilliance of Vinicius, they could have
Mm.
easily won the game. So at some point the game just became balanced. But all
mm,
in all, they did very well. Ivory Coast
mm.
were very wasteful. They were just lucky to get that one goal at the dead of the match. And I think the coach would have learned his lessons. Ahmad should start. There's no two ways about it. And
Okay.
because he proved the difference when he came in. So, but
Mm.
it is good that they were able to get that win as a first result. And
How
for
would you
Egypt,
how would you then rate the performance of Africans? I just want, because of time, I just want us to be quick on that. Over a scale of 100 so far, how would you then rate the performance of the African teams?
I think we are you I'll give them 70% so far
Mm,
because out of five teams so far, if
mm,
I'm counting right, we've had only two losses. The rest have just drawn, and then Cote d'Ivoire
mm.
won their match, right? So
Even as
what
the
it
win.
means is that yeah, unlike in previous World Cups, usually after the first round of matches, all African teams have
Okay.
lost their matches, right?
Mm,
But this time we have a win, we have a couple of draws, we have two who have disappointed. But even with those, I
mm.
think if they put their acts right, they should be able
Together.
to do something in
Mm.
the next couple of matches.
Looking at it entirety, I mean, would you want to say that the minnows, I mean, the small teams or the lesser teams, as we always want to call them, are closing up the gap with these top teams? Because Morocco, gone are the days, wouldn't have been able to stand the might of the Brazilians. But I mean, in recent times, they've done that. We are talking about Japan and Netherlands, 2-2. I was very much surprised in that particular game. But hey, Japan over the years too have also been able to crawl back into their mojo, and they are picking up the pieces. We saw Cape Verde today matching up, that is the Spaniards,
The
in a
Spaniards,
0-0
yeah.
drawn game. Yes, a closely contested game in there. Would you want to say that the Minos are closing up in this World Cup? A quick one on that.
Exactly. Yeah, I think the gap is closing. You've mentioned a couple
Mm,
of matches. I'll add Korea beating Czech. You know, the Czechs wanted to be
exactly.
very smart by
Yeah.
using area balls because they thought Koreans were short. But in terms
Yeah.
of
They
the
have the
actual
Susek and
field
all
of
that.
play,
Mm,
in terms of the actual technicality, the Koreans were
mm,
much superior. And I was glad that
yeah.
at the end of the day, they were able to win the match. Another
Okay.
fantastic result is also Australia winning
Mm.
against Turkey. Australia
Check, yes.
always qualifies for the World Cup, but
Mm.
usually they just
They
come and
joined the
then
bandwagon. They just joined the crowd. They joined the
they
don't
just
decide.
join
Oh,
the party and they didn't do anything. But this time
yeah.
around, they've taken on Turkey and then they gave them a very good match, winning 2
Mm,
nil versus them. Haiti held their own. Japan, as you
mm,
said, even Qatar versus Switzerland. It was a
yeah.
1-1 draw game, right?
Yeah.
Qatar last World Cup, even though they were
Lost
hosts,
all
they
their
were very
games. They
abysmal.
hosted. They hosted. Okay, so as we
Yep.
were talking about Thomas Partey's bit, yes, the man was denied entry to Canada, and we've lost key members of the Black Stars. The likes of Salisu Mohammed is not going to be part of the team. Alexander Juku is also not going to be part of the team. Mohamed Kudus also not going to be part of the team. And now Thomas Partey, who is also one of the experienced lads, experienced players going into this World Cup, is going to miss the first game because of what we know. He's battling some issues or court issues in UK over about 7 count of that is sexual and rape charges and all that. Derek, quick one on that before we wrap up. Is that going to affect the Blasters psychologically, and even for Thomas Partey himself? Is he going to be affected one way or the other? Or you think that he's a strong guy, and for that matter, he should forget about the Panama game and concentrate on the England and Croatia game?
Yeah, I think he's a strong guy, but it is still going to affect him and then the team psychologically. But
Okay.
I don't know who the psychologist in the team is, but
Mm,
he has a huge task ahead of him right now to try and then turn this around into a
mm,
morale boosting kind of situation where we can take advantage of the fact that okay, let's go to go and play Panama, win
okay.
this match for Partey, probably maybe print some T-shirts or something, that
Mm.
when a player scores a goal,
Just
they
to
would
support
show
him.
and then use
Mm.
just to support him. So there are ways in which we can try and then take advantage of it, but we
Mm.
cannot deny that this is going to hurt the team psychologically, especially for the fact that just before the game, the attention will be drawn away from on-field tactical and everything into
Yeah.
just this particular matter, which might be a distraction for the players. It might be a
Mm.
distraction for the whole team, even the fans, and then all that. So I think we have a huge task. Those who are handling the team, they have a
Mm.
huge task in trying to kind of create a barrier to prevent the noise that is coming from outside on
Mm.
this particular issue from entering inside and then getting into the player's head. Because
Mm.
if you look at the group composition, this is
Yeah.
the easiest group game, right? And
Mm.
so if we can win this, then we can set ourselves up for a
Mm.
very good tournament. So that's what that the task
Mm.
ahead is, that we need to
Okay.
be able to kind of infiltrate all the noise
Mm.
away and then use it as a morale booster instead of letting it psychologically dampen the spirit of the team.
But how difficult it is for a coach to, I mean, put together his team in training, map up a strategy, knowing very well that Thomas Partey is going to be part of his selection of his team in the first game, and lo and behold, he's been struck with this news. As a coach, let's try to get into the head of Carlos Queiroz. How would he
Yeah,
be able to deal with this one?
I think it is a difficult situation, but fortunately for us, he's a very experienced coach. He
Okay.
has coached
Yeah.
very big teams, and I'm sure he has seen some of these situations before. Because
Mm.
this situation, although this is more like denial of entry and then all that,
Mm.
this situation can happen through injuries, right? So you set up,
Mm.
you've seen teams during the warm up, maybe 5 minutes to the match, a key player can get a knock just
Mm. Okay.
during the warm up, and then
Mm.
it changes the tactics and everything. So I'm believing that he'll be able to have a plan B,
Okay.
assuming that Partey is not able to play or is not available for the matches. I'm sure
Mm.
that he's already mapped up a plan B that he can use just in case even all the efforts, that the diplomatic effort that we are trying to use to bring him
Yeah.
back fails.
Okay, so that is that on Thomas Partey. And already the Black Stars winger, that is Abdul Fattah Shahapu, he's also been talking and he's been speaking that the players are together and in support of Thomas Partey. And for that matter, they're going to give their all for this particular game against Panama. It's supposed to be the first game for the Black Stars. All roads will be leading to BMO Field in Toronto, in Canada. And watch out this coming
Yeah.
Wednesday. Oh, Derek, I need to tell them they need to watch out this coming Wednesday. But do some of the messages for us. Can you see some of the messages already? A friend is telling us that, in
Yes.
fact,
Kobe's
um,
Kobe's art says that
Ghana is the Ghana is the only team. He said Ghana is the only team which will go far.
Ghana is the
That
only
is coming
team.
start.
Yeah, Kobe's art also says that Sweden gets some fire coming.
Okay. Because he's in Sweden, the Kobe Stars is in Sweden, so he supports Sweden.
Yeah, he's based in
So I
Sweden.
understand because of,
Exactly. Yeah.
yes, he's based in Sweden. So
Yeah.
that is that. But we're proudly
But
supported
Charlie,
by
Wednesday,
Katleries. Yeah.
shawarma na ebenye bia.
Yeah, shawarma was really training you. Cutleries. Cutleries is sponsoring that shawarma. And you can, I mean,
I
go
know
to
where what.
Cutleries.
I
If you
know where
predict and
what.
win, you got yeah. Predict and win. If you predict and win, Cutleries is there for you to get your shawarma. You can locate Cutlery at Anaji St. Francis Street off the Choice Mart Road, or contact us on 054 or 055 So the review can put the flyer on it so that our audience will see that we are talking about cutleries. Epe shawarma, epe dia, epe pizza dia, epe French fries
Correct
dia,
one. Correct
seafood and
one.
all that.
Correct fee.
Assorted fried rice, jambalaya. Jambalaya, I don't know if I'm that, but I'm sure that I'll predict and win on Wednesday. Because the Black Stars are winning, but I will be shoving my predictions, God willing, on Wednesday I will do the predictions live here on Sport Talk, and then I'll go for my jambalaya jollof. So, thank you guys for joining the feed. We sincerely apologize for the earlier hitches. It was a technical hitch, and we are trying as much as possible to rectify that so that God on Wednesday, we come from Israel, but God on Wednesday, we know that we give you a fantastic feed. We had about 78 people watching it, and that is quite impressive. And I know that you guys are fantastic, and we appreciate that.
For
Derek,
sure.
do you have something to say
Yeah.
finally? Then we wrap up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
finally, the recorded version will be put on YouTube. So if you missed it, you can
sure,
go to
sure,
Sport Talk
sure.
Live on YouTube and you should be able to find
Mm,
all our videos and our content. But yeah,
mm.
I had it there. Yemfa BBA high. Sport Talk, Yemfan high.
Yeah.
Yemfan high.
We are relaxing things. Hey, Charles, you know, guys, well, bro, I want to Saudi Arabia, well, bro, you know, going to Saudi Arabia, well, but still 0-0,
Emphasis here. Obia,
36 minutes.
Obia,
Obia
Obia,
and
yeah,
Ubia.
Obia, and Ubia. All
Yeah, they just
right.
work out with me. Yeah. All right. So, I think that our montage will be brought in, and we say bye bye to you. God willing, Wednesday. Goodbye.
Bye.